Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Lessons for Life from Swami Jagadatmananda's inspiring book, Learn to Live, Volume 2, Chapter 1, Give Up Worries and Anxieties. We all know that anger is a dangerous, harmful emotion. But how to live in this world? How to deal with wicked people? This is explained in this episode. Hiss, but do not bite. Try to take away a toy from the hands of a baby. It expresses its resentment. Anger and show of displeasure are instinctive. Anger is a natural reaction. When something incites our feelings of displeasure or dissatisfaction, we get angry. Things do not work in this world as we desire them to happen. Therefore, it is wise to control our desires and reduce our ego, which helps us in controlling our temper. With some people, temper takes the form of a habit. They feel irritated at everything. For example, even when a crow caws, when they do not find their clothes, at some noise, or when there is little less sugar in the coffee. They are proud of the description. When enraged, he is a tiger. Anger upsets your physical and mental balance. It leads you to gain the enmity of the people around you. Your constant irritation becomes for others a source of disgust. People ridicule you in your absence. You lose everybody's sympathy. You become a source of trouble and inconvenience to others. Remember the words of Saint Basavanna, the great Karnataka reformer saint of 13th century, about anger. The fire in a house first burns the house itself. Similarly, the fire of anger destroys the person who harbors it first and then harms others. But can we refrain from getting angry altogether? Once a devotee asked Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, "Sir, should we not react but remain passive even when wicked men are getting ready to harm us?" Sri Ramakrishna said, "When we live in society, to counter the designs of evil men, some amount of toughness is required. But one should refrain from wreaking revenge. But without the show of anger, it is difficult to live in this world. There are wicked people in society. How to deal with these wicked people? Sri Ramakrishna advised that a little show of anger in dealing with wicked people is necessary, but hatred is harmful. He tells a story to drive home the point. Some cowherd boys used to tend their cows in a meadow where a terribly poisonous snake lived. Everyone was on the alert for fear of it. One day, a brahmachari, a holy man, was going along the meadow. The boys ran to him and said, "Revered sir, please don't go that way. A venomous snake lives over there." "What of it, my good children?" said the brahmachari. "I am not afraid of the snake. I know some mantras." So saying, he continued on his way along the meadow. Seeing the brahmachari, the snake moved swiftly towards him with upraised hood. As soon as it came near, he recited a mantra. He uttered a mantra, and the snake lay at his feet like an earthworm. The brahmachari said, "Look here. Why do you go about doing harm? Come, I will give you a mantra. By repeating this, you learn to love God. Ultimately, you will realize God and also get rid of your violent nature. Saying this, he taught the snake a holy word, a mantra, and initiated it into spiritual life. The snake bowed before the teacher and said, "Revered sir, how shall I practice spiritual discipline?" "Repeat that sacred mantra," said the teacher, "and do not harm anybody." As he was about to depart, the brahmachari said, "I shall see you again." Some days passed, and the cowherd boys noticed that the snake would not bite. They threw stones at it. Still, it showed no anger. The snake behaved as if it were an earthworm. One day, one of the boys came close to it, caught it by the tail, and whirling it round and round, dashed it again and again on the ground and threw it away. The snake vomited blood and became unconscious. It was stunned. It could not move, so, thinking it dead, the boys went their way. Late at night, the snake regained consciousness. Slowly and with great difficulty, it dragged itself into its hole. Its bones were broken and it could scarcely move. Many days passed. The snake became a mere skeleton covered with skin. Now and then at night it would come out in search of food. For fear of the boys, it would not leave its hole during the daytime. Since receiving the sacred mantra from the teacher, it had given up doing harm to others. It maintained its life on dirt, leaves, or the fruit that dropped from trees. About a year later, the brahmachari came that way again and asked about the snake. The cowherd boys told him that it was dead, but he couldn't believe them. He knew that the snake would not die before attaining spiritual fulfillment. He found his way to the place and, searching here and there, called it by the name he had given it. Hearing the Guru's voice, it came out of its hole and bowed before him with great reverence. "How are you?" asked the brahmachari. "I am well, sir," replied the snake. But the teacher asked, "Why are you so thin?" The snake replied, "Revered sir, you ordered me not to harm anybody, so I have been living only on leaves and fruits. Perhaps that has made me thinner." The snake had developed the quality of sattva or serenity. It could not be angry with anyone. It had totally forgotten that the cowherd boys had almost killed it. The brahmachari said, "It can't be mere want of food that has reduced you to this state. There must be some other reason. Think a little." Then the snake remembered that the boys had dashed it against the ground. It said, "Yes, revered sir, now I remember. The boys one day dashed me violently against the ground. They are ignorant after all. They did not realize what a great change had come over my mind. How could they know I would not bite or harm anyone?" The brahmachari exclaimed, "What a shame! You are such a fool. You don't know how to protect yourself. I asked you not to bite, but I didn't forbid you to hiss. Why didn't you scare them away by hissing? So you must hiss at wicked people if required." Swami Jagadatmananda concludes this episode. by saying you must frighten them lest they should do you harm. But one must not injure others. To be continued. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.